Welcome, welcome to the Self Love Podcast. I am your host, Kelly Zwana, and today we are talking about something that is weird and uncomfortable. We are talking about my fear of rats. Firstly, I just want to say this out loud. I am afraid of rats. I don't know why, I don't know what about them makes me so afraid of them. They just make me scared. You throw a rat into my face, I'll probably run to the other side or faint if I'm lucky. But I don't know why. According to Google, the reason why people are afraid of anything, we have phobias, it's because of a event that happened. Maybe be it you're afraid of snakes because you saw someone being bitten by snakes. We are afraid of death because we have seen loved ones die. We are afraid of whatever because we have seen those things happen to loved ones. But with me, it's different. I don't know why I'm afraid of those creatures. They are tiny, ugly, and scary. In the night, their eyes go red. I'm afraid of it. Google calls it mousophobia. And I've seen it a lot with guys in my community. I think I've got 2 cousins who are afraid of it, but it is not classified as fear. It's just that they don't like rats. They find them disgusting. And lately I've adopted that notion that rats are just disgusting. I don't like them around me. So why do people keep on bringing these animals around me? And that's true. And when I was younger, my siblings and cousins, they would bring these rats to me just to bring a reaction or for fun, kids being kids. And half the time, it would not be the fact that they brought it, it's just the idea that they may bring it. Maybe they'll scratch a door, they'll make sounds of a rat, and that'll get me going. I'll be afraid. But now, before I recorded this episode, when I was thinking about these rats and the effect that they have, that fear has on me, and how I've managed to live my life without interacting with rats. My biggest fear is if my child one day asks me to get a hamster as a pet. So I am there. I am there in terms of where I'm thinking about these animals. But then I got to think about it in a holistic way, about fear, just generally, fear mongering. In these times, we live in the era of viruses, diseases. COVID is a thing. COVID-19 is a thing right now. And people are spreading all kinds of scary and gory information on how to survive and what not to do. And drink this bleach, you'll be fine. Do this, you'll be fine. Don't do that. The world is gonna end. There will be soldiers on the ground chasing us around with guns, doing all those things. Which to an extent is kind of true. It happens depending where you are. Those things have probably happened. But you'll find these weird voice notes that you don't know where they come from, but they make their way onto your phone that lock your doors, hide your food, hide your kids. There's gonna be an attack. And half the time it never happens. But it gets the old people in my circle scared. It gets my aunt scared, it gets my mother scared, because why people are when we're in crisis, we are very gullible when we're in crisis. COVID was happening, and if I could tell you that if you had to eat a pineapple, you will get COVID, people will believe it. And society understands this. Society uses your fears against you. Society uses your fears to make you buy. They will tell you that buy this car because if you don't have it, it will tap into your insecurities. You won't be Mr. Cool. Stay in this area because successful people stay here, and if you don't stay here, you'll be proving to the world that you're nothing. Date this girl, date this guy, because there's something that we are all afraid of. We are all afraid of something. We all are running away from something. Be it you're running away from poverty, be it you're running away from obesity, be it you're running away from something. When you're in fear, you're gullible, and you usually take the easy way out. And it's not always the easy way out. If I'm afraid of poverty, for example, hard work and determination is usually what you will do It's only the off chance that you will resort to violence and gangsterism. Only at the off chance. Few people do that. But usually it's go to school, get a job, work hard, stay focused, get what you need, and you'll be fine. Because why are you afraid of poverty? If you're afraid of disease, you probably will practice a good lifestyle. You practice it to a point where you're like, okay, I'm fine now. I'm no longer in the firing line of obesity. You'll get that. And things like some other things, it's easy for us to understand, like when you get fear-monged with exactly poverty, race, whatever. If you are a racist person, you don't want to stay around black people. So the best thing to do is to travel far north, away from them. Put a fence and a boom gate somewhere and make sure that those houses sell for close to $1 billion. Because why are you afraid of black people? And I'm not saying that the reason why a lot of people, white people, stay in suburbs is because they're afraid of it. But in the beginning, those suburbs were built to be as far as away from black people because black people were regarded as savages. And you look at today, most of these wars and fights and this group hates that group, this group hates that group, is because someone in both these groups is fear-mongering them and telling them that, hey, if we let these people rule, our race is going to be wiped out. If we let that person do this, it's going to mean the end of us. There's always someone feeling like their group is about to be destroyed, or someone feels like, if I let this person succeed, it means the downfall of me. We see this a lot with politics. We see this a lot with business. Apple won't let me create a smartphone that will compete directly with them because they have the fear that I may use that success to destroy them. Musicians, the same thing. And I saw a quote the other day. This guy was saying that when you are a business, the first 20 years you don't have competitors, you have colleagues, because you don't have yet a big market share to be competing. So companies that have competitors, it's your Apples, Microsofts, and whatever. You and your local bakery are not competitors. In fact, you're supposed to be colleagues. You're supposed to work together. But now, what does society do? Society will keep on pushing things, or businesses will keep on selling to other businesses that you need to get this productivity tool because your competitor's not using it. You need to get this firewall because there are hackers coming in. You need to get this security company because whatever's happening. And half the time these things may be true, and half the time these things are usually toxic and they have one purpose, is to sell. Right now there's a craze around cryptocurrencies. The reason why, one of the big reasons, is because there will come a time when our normal currencies will not be able to function, and now you will be regarded as a poor person, and the rich who bought the Bitcoin in the 90s will have it, and now they'll still control the world, blah blah blah. But if you want to change that, buy my Bitcoin, buy my NFTs, buy my whatever. That is the same as me being afraid of rats. That is the same idea. A clear example of this is when I was younger, I wanted to live in a flat because my understanding was if I live on the middle floor, there won't be a ceiling, and ceilings, that's where a rat sits. But if I don't have a ceiling, it means that there won't be space for rats to sit. But if you can ask anyone who lives in an apartment, they'll tell you about the poor hygiene levels in those buildings. And you're most likely to bump into a rat if you stay in a flat than you are in a single home residence. And okay, that dream died. The second one was, oh, let me buy a cat because rats are afraid of cats. And not so long ago, I saw a video of a cat and a mouse or a rat playing together. So the only way I can be able to survive, I can be able to get over my fear of rats, is if I confront it. It's if I deal with it. It's if I discover what is actually the main cause to making me afraid of rats. Because I can't tell you how I became afraid of them. I can't tell you what made me afraid of rats, but I can tell you the first day I realized that this thing, I don't like it here. Someone has to kill it, but it won't be me. But I am going to stand across the globe and you will tell me how the killing went. That is my approach. That is how probably I view my problem with the rats, that someone has to fix it. And with many things, diseases, viruses, when you are afraid, you become this person who is ready to listen, ready to do the right thing. But when I am not afraid, I won't close the door. I won't follow the correct procedures to protect myself against rats, because out of sight, out of mind. So I will only go and buy the rat poison or whatever poison when I've seen a rat or suspect that they are rats. But on a random Tuesday, I won't be putting out mice traps because I am assuming that they're not there. And this is probably the same approach that a lot of us have when it comes to life. We have an out of sight, out of mind. We only think about our health when we are sick. When we are healthy, we take it for granted. We only drink immune boosting medication when there's a chance of getting COVID, a chance of getting flu and other diseases. But I could tell you now, probably the most money that pharmaceutical companies made, or fitness companies and vitamin companies made, was during the COVID season, because they could say anything, that COVID comes for your immune system, COVID does this to you, so you need to take these pills, you need to eat this vitamin, you need to have garlic, you need to do this, you need to do that, and you'll take it because you're afraid. And when you're afraid is when you now take anything to get yourself out of the situation. But imagine if we had to be proactive than reactionary. Imagine if I had to always make sure that I don't keep rubbish or dirt around my surroundings, because if I keep rubbish, rats will come. Or if I don't close the door, rats will come from outside into the house and make a mess and whatever. Probably the last time I will see a rat would be if I watch Stuart Little and Ratatouille, but that's not the case. We assume. The weird thing about the human body is that, with also pain and fear, is when you are feeling this pain or when you are the most scared, you can't imagine a life of yourself being not that scared and not that in pain. But once you're over that pain, you can't imagine a life being in pain. You can have a near-death experience today, and if I could ask you a week later to describe it for me, it will be very blurry and you won't be sure. So now what that creates, it creates you to forget and take things for granted. If you could look at houses that have been broken into, the first week, probably after the break-in, they used to lock the door, lock the window, hide the kids, hide your money. There are black people in the streets. It's a joke it's a Vine joke, don't worry. It's not a racist thing about black people. But we would hide our kids, hide our families, hide everything. But come back 3 months later, we still leave the door open. We still don't lock. We still leave openings for thugs to come in and do whatever. That's because we have forgotten that feeling of being mugged. We have forgotten the experience of it. So now we take everything around us for granted. We take security for granted. We take our health for granted. I take my rats for granted. But I only react and I do the right thing when something has fear-mongered. Maybe I'm using this word wrong, but when something has triggered my fear, that is when I will lock the door. That is when I will think of getting an eagle, because eagles hunt rats and do these things and call the exterminator. But if I don't see a rat, I won't call it exterminator to come make sure that rats won't come in. And this is an approach that I think a lot of us take for everything. We take things for granted. We take our security for granted. We take our current situation for granted. That's why people always say that kids who are raised privileged take that privilege for granted. It will be rare that you'll find a very privileged child with the same drive and hustle as a child who has nothing. It's because they're not threatened by poverty. So now you take it for granted. It's highly unlikely that a person who is are naturally born. Everyone is naturally born healthy, and we destroy our bodies because we take our naturally born healthy bodies for granted. That's why it's rare that you find someone being born obese, but you find people dying obese. But you also find kids who were raised in a very unhealthy environment in terms of health-wise and food end up dying, living a healthy life. And you see, so it's that thing that when you are afraid of something, you will react to fix it. You will run or hide. But when it's not in your sight, it's not around you, probably the last time I thought of a rat was when I saw it, until today. And I think I will leave today's episode here. I just want to say, please like and subscribe, leave a review, share this with your friends, share this with your family, anyone. Your reviews and subscriptions and your likes and comments really do help the podcast and help it get it out there. And even if you don't share it, it's fine. As long as you have heard me speak, I am fine with it. Thanks.